We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at Shore Capital. In today's venture capital world, it's not just about cash. It's about relationships. Capital is harder to find, limited investors have fewer managers that they can trust, and the industry is just filled with far too much hype. Shore Capital is an early-stage venture fund investing in the world's most ruthlessly iterative founders, helping its limited partners to find founders who are solving the world's most dynamic problems, teams that excel in mastering the idea maze, teams moving with a rapid, iterative velocity and demonstrating radical resourcefulness. Shore Capital doesn't just write checks, though. They become fractional co-founders when needed, offering strategic support, high-leverage relationship development, and a deep commitment to the long-term success of their portfolio companies. If you are a ruthlessly iterative founder with a bold vision or a limited investor seeking sustained access to the brightest big thinkers of our time, Shore Capital wants to meet you. So visit shorecapital.notion.site to learn more.
We are so grateful to be supported by these community champions: Sales MD, Team Friday, Realist Lab, Kiana Patterson, Diego Chavez, Jer Boucher, Heather Ryder, Janine Sua, Lily Roca, and Steve Kernan.
Hey, it's me. And you know what? The question I was asking myself all week this week is in the title, right? Are you your own worst enemy sometimes? Because I know I surely am. And I was a few times this last week or two. And as I'm back to spend a few moments with you now on this week's episode of Stoppage Time before we head into our weekend, I've been really focused on the phones, on text, on emails with lots of good people around me, inviting folks to sponsor our work, to help support my building and the storytelling life of mine. In simple business parlance, that just means I've been selling all week, actually really the last couple, 3 weeks, pretty consistently. And so in these conversations, I'm super lucky. I've realized as I talk to people and then I hang up and then I pick up on the next call and I think to myself, like, wow, what a great set of conversations I got to have today. No matter whether the outcomes worked out in my favor or our favor in the context of the sponsorship conversation or not, just to be able to connect with these good people. I'm so lucky to be surrounded by some of the smartest, most talented people that I know, many, if not most of whom have become great friends over the years. But in particular, one friend really stood out this week, and he broke through the negative, kind of anxious energy that I had let my mind fill my heart with. And that was my friend Guillermo, or as I call him, Gmo, from down in Tijuana. We've known each other for just about 10 years now. And he listened to me vent on a voice note, but then he called me right back and he kind of pierced my self-doubt with a very loving, very digital, verbal kick in the pants and kind of hug of sorts. And in that exchange, I was instantly reminded how much benefit having a few long-term relationships can be, right? The mythology about having, 100 best friends or having 1,000 people show up for your funeral is mostly just nonsense that we create in our own head when we're younger. All the data, all the science tells us that if we're lucky personally to have, between like 2 to 4 or 1 to 3 really deeply trusted lifelong friends, like we are ahead of most people. Professionally, if we're lucky to have similarly like 2 to 3 to 4 like deeply trusted people that last with you over the duration of a career or a lifetime of work, we're probably similarly lucky. So in this week, in this moment, in that conversation with Guillermo, just the benefit of us knowing each other for so long, vice versa, kind of giving us a window into each other's stories over such a long period of time, having people around you that kind of know you and the arc of your story and experiences beyond just the kind of short-term immediacy bubble that we all live in every day nowadays. And he was frankly just able to pierce through it all, as I said, and remind me of the positive context of this year's growth story. As we're in December now, heading towards the end of the year like a rocket ship, he was able to kind of take me out of this year and out of this December and out of this week, and kind of bubble me up and remind me of this year versus or in the context of the past few years. And he did it with authority that spoke to me and resonated with me because he's been there with me through it all, like through lots of it over the last 10 years, right? So I just found myself so grateful for that's really what I wanted to make this Stoppage Time about, is sharing a little bit of my own vulnerabilities and weaknesses and flaws as the very imperfect human being that I am, but also using it as a platform to just kind of shout out the graciousness of the good people around me. And in that moment and now beyond, I told him so. Like I told him I was immediately and again the next day how grateful I was for him and for him being able to kind of get through to me and shake my mind and shake my heart, refill me a little bit. But it also took me back to the relationships that I have and the relationship in particular that I have with this week's guest on Entrepreneurial Thinkers, Rich Fleischman. And it highlighted in a very particular way something that Rich and I talked about during the conversation about his career and where he is finding his greatest purpose and some of his joy professionally in his work. Rich and I, just to give you some perspective as you listen to this episode, which I really hope you go find, like, follow, subscribe, wherever it is you listen to or watch on our YouTube channel, your favorite podcasts. It's a window into a friendship, but it's a friendship that's able to take that trust and explore both the work he does at Haney and Company, where he is a partner in their big regional American US-based CPA firm, and how that relates to entrepreneurs that he's worked with over the course of his career, how those types of trusted relationships between advisors and entrepreneurs, business people, investors are so critical. So right, it was kind of in that same theme of where I guess my head and my emotions have been in my own personal life. But Rich and I probably known each other. We were toying with trying to figure it out during the episode, like probably 23 years or more. He's literally one of the most trusted confidants and friends that I have. In the show, I even introduced him in the intro bio as a consigliere, which is a funny word. It's a mafia word, not used often in modern language today, but actually really indicative of the deep level of trust and peer status and kind of shared knowledge and history that he and I have together. And that trusted friendship and the deep knowledge of one another enabled us to have this kind of baseline of connectedness, which then led to this great conversation that I hope you guys enjoy. But in that, Rich also shared something about what's really important to him in his career arc and his story now, and that's the power of mentorship. And so I want to share this little clip that he shared about how much mentorship means to him.
One of my main goals, my main tasks is mentoring. And, we don't quite have a very formal program yet, but we're working towards that. That's one of the things
inside the firm to mentor
inside the firm. So
okay.
I have a few mentees that I currently work with, some closer than others. Some of them have other mentors as well, but I think it really makes a difference. I was talking with one of my partners who I actually had hired out of college years and years and years ago. And it's amazing having watched him evolve. And he was not the shy, quiet accountant. From after maybe 6 months of working with him, I said, "You're going to be a rainmaker. You're going to bring in so much business. We won't know what to do with you." And I was right.
And honestly, coming out of that show with that kind of running through the back of my mind, and then the conversation with Guillermo, the conversations with so many of the good people that I've been talking to this week about prospectively becoming sponsors of our work, or going back and thanking existing sponsors of our work and asking them if they could refer me to other folks that they think might be interested in sponsoring what I'm doing. That conversation, all of these conversations took me immediately back a couple of weeks ago to American Thanksgiving, kind of. And if you've been following along, I'm kind of self-sequestered here with my injured knee still. But if you remember in my story in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks is I escaped the house. I escaped my apartment here for about 48 hours to be able to go down and spend time with family and friends. And when I get in my own way and I allow self-doubt about my business vision, or when I allow pressures of the need to sell a few more sponsorships or pay for a few more bills, or just this doubt about chasing the dreams, it's people like Jamie. It's conversations with her. It's conversations with Guillermo. It's conversations with Rich and my daughter, Riley, who obviously I've known for 32 years. She's the longest running human relationship I think I still have. But it's them plus this other small kind of hand-picked group of folks that I've been just really, really blessed to surround myself with or collect, or they've collected me over the course of my life and my career, that always brings me back to earth and kind of regrounds me. They remind me who I am. They remind me of what I've accomplished and what I'm capable of. They inject me with a boost of love and encouragement, just like I do so often for so many others. And frankly, I've spent the majority of the last decade of my life, as you probably know if you've been following my professional journey, obsessed with mentorship and mentoring others literally tens of thousands of entrepreneurs over the last 10 years in 33 different countries and hundreds of different industries and industry sectors. And that was our business. That was the business of myself and my former partner, David Bagheera. But throughout that, and now in my life, building the Storytellers Company with Deanna, I do get lost in the fact that sometimes I am the one in need of mentorship and encouragement. I need to have my vessel refilled, so to speak, because I pour out of it into others so often. And I'm eternally grateful. As I say, this week has kind of reminded me and brought me full circle as we end this week and head into our weekend, that I'm so grateful to be surrounded by and loved by and poured into by so many really, really great people. Because again, another tie into our show, as a friend and alumnus of the podcast, Federico Antoni, who's a super VC in Mexico, told us way back in episode number 34 of the old original version of the show back in May of 2022, as he said to us famously, it's all about the people. It's always all about the people that you surround yourself with, that you mentor and give advice to, that you pour into, but that you allow to pour into you, that you allow to encourage and surround you, to move you forward, to get you out of your own way, as I have been this week and as Guillermo did for me. And at the end of the day, you are part of that people, right? Like, we make our shows, both this one, the Entrepreneurial Thinkers shows, as well as now our branded client podcast shows, for you, for the people that live in our community, for the people that will live in the communities of the branded shows that we will build for our clients. You are the people in our lives. You're the people in my life. Like, we make these things to try to pursue leaving the world a little bit better than we found it after each conversation and each episode. And we do that because somewhere in me, even though I transitioned away from mentorship, growth consultant to podcaster and podcast producer, I still do ultimately believe that every conversation between two human beings holds this incredible magical power to be a mentor-mentee-like experience where we can learn from one another and we can break down barriers and we can find the inspiration and the empowerment that we need to believe in ourselves and to keep going forward. So that's my story this week. It's filled with gratitude for Rich, for Guillermo, for Jamie, for Fede, for Riley, for David, for Deanna, and for each of our alumni guests over the past 5.5 years, and for every one of you out there who listen to or watch our show all these weeks over the last 5.5 years, because ultimately you're helping me to be the best version of myself. You're helping me to find the belief in myself and to use my gifts and skills, try to leave the world, as my mom always implored us to do, a little bit better than we found it in my case, or than when I entered it way back in 1968. So as we head into the weekend, as always, I wish you all peace, love, joy, and maybe this weekend I just send you all a big virtual hug of thanks for believing in me and encouraging me to keep telling stories. Peace.
We are so grateful to be supported by sponsors like our friends at eSudo. You know, running any business, but especially a law firm, means balancing a lot. And technology, frankly, shouldn't be a headache. eSudo makes information technology and cybersecurity simple for law firms large or small. With over 20 years of experience, they specialize in everything from Microsoft 365 management to advanced cybersecurity solutions. They help you to stay ahead of threats, manage your data securely, and keep your tech running smoothly so that you can focus on what matters most, your clients. eSudo understands the legal industry's unique needs, offering tailored solutions to ensure that your firm is always in compliance and always protected. Are you ready to upgrade your firm's technology or get help with your questions? Visit esudo.com.